good, y'all? It's your man Cyhi, and today I'm gonna show y'all how I put this banger together. Let's go. So this is the first day in a couple weeks I had a chance to work on a beat, so I'm really excited. I've just been on like a sample kick lately, and I wanted to make something with some hard drums. I had a drum pattern in my head for a couple days, and I was just walking around beatboxing, and that's how I got started making beats, honestly. When I was like 15, 16 years old, even before that, I was just constantly had beats in my head, constantly had drum patterns in my head. So if I don't lay those drum patterns down, they'll be stuck in my head for days, sometimes weeks. I had the whole drum loop lined up in my mind, ready to go. So when I got on the MPC finally after a couple weeks, I just had to let it out, and put it down. So first thing I did with this beat was I laid the drums down, and then I kind of had an idea for the type of sample I was looking for. I was kind of in a mindset of, say, like a Pusha T type beat is kind of what I was visualizing with these drums. He tends to like, really hard drums and kind of like sinister sounding samples. So I went through and found some stuff that would fit that type of mold. So let's get into it. Let's get busy. All right, so first things first, I'll show you guys the drum pattern that I had in my head. I just put it together. I don't really use breakbeats that much. I like to kind of create my own. And to do that, there's a couple tricks I'll walk you through that I use. Well, I'll play the drum loop first to show you guys what I came up with. So it's like an 8-bar drum loop. I had the 4-bar drum loop in my head, but as you see, I do with a lot of my beats. I like to have the last bar break down, and before the new loop comes in. So made it an 8-bar loop, and just a couple tricks of the trade. Some people have trouble with getting their drums to kind of snap and sound more like a break beat. The drum sounds is definitely a major key. What I'm gonna do is I actually put together a kit, as you can see right here. I'm calling it the Upgrade. And basically it has like a lot of my favorite drums that I just compiled, probably about 3 or 4 banks together. You can make really, really dope 90s style. I don't want to say 90s style because they're not really so dirty. It's just a little dirty and a little crisp. It's like a good mixture. But, as you can see, I have, a little bit of 808 stuff that sounds more modern, but then I have a lot of just really, really just hard sounding, East Coast drums. I'll put that together for you guys. Still trying to figure out how I'm going to put it out yet. In my last video, I didn't get 200 likes on it. I was going to just give it away, and I still might. So maybe if we do 100 on this video, I'll put the kit up on my website. Yeah, so we'll do that. I'll do a giveaway with this kit. But long story short, what I like to do is I take some of my favorite sounds, and a major thing is the hi-hats. So you want your hi-hats to sound like a real drummer's playing them. So what I'll do is I'll take a hat like this, and let me just solo it out so you can hear it. I put it on 16 levels on velocity, and I'll play it. A lot of times I'll hit that higher velocity when the snare hits. Because when somebody's playing a hi-hat and hitting a snare, a lot of times hitting that snare, you just translates to your other hand that's hitting a hi-hat. And it's just, it's just a rhythm thing. So, I'll put the higher velocity where the snare hits, do some lighter velocities on the in-betweens. Sometimes when the kick and the snare hit, so it'll be like. And just give some variation. So, you can try different ones, and you can go in here and adjust it too, in your velocity, if you have MPC, or, really most DAWs will have this kind of thing going on in the piano roll. So you can go in there and just change your velocity and make the harder velocities hit on the snare and on the kicks, like on the main 1, 2, 3, 4, make the, the higher velocities hit on those. Just a little, trick of the trade. Another one is using open hats. open hats, you know, are what a real drummer will use, you know, to kind of just give the drum some groove. So, you know, I use those open hats pretty often, you know, when I'm trying to make a breakbeat style beat. I say I use open hats in like maybe about 80% of my beats, maybe more. So it's definitely something that makes, you know, them open hats, it just kind of makes the beat a little funkier. All right, and then I got a real snapping snare on this one. So the key is just really the drum sounds and, you know, kind of manipulating your hi-hats with your open hats and, you know, the back and forth with the closed hats. I also threw in like a percussion. It's kind of like a tambourine type of sound. And, you know, a lot of bands back in the day will have like a tambourine. So, you know, you throw that in, it just kind of adds a little bit of funk to it. So that's the drum pattern we had. And at that point, and when you got a drum pattern that hard, you really have to mess the sample up for it to not sound dope. But I wanted something that sounded real kind of sinister, you know, like an Eastern sounding type of thing. So I actually went back to YouTube, found some stuff, and I'll bring it over so you can see it. Instrumental psychedelic rock. I was actually thinking about finding like a hard rock sample to throw on those drums and chop up. But as I was going through this psychedelic rock, I found these cool sounding like sitar sounds, which are like an Eastern, you know, like an India style string instrument. It sound like this. Let me see if I can bring it up for you. So nasty. So I already knew I wanted that, so I snatched that up real quick. Yeah, I came up with some sample chops for like, I pitched it up about 4 semitones, and I just chopped it up using, you know, in the sample edit window. So I came up with yeah, so it sounds crazy by itself, but when you throw it together, it sounds like this. Part of me wanted to just stop right there. It was just so hard. I was like, yeah, that's it right there. So at this point, I'm thinking like, man, this is maybe like some Pusha T style stuff, man. So I was on it at that point, but I knew I was gonna need a bass line. So went to another track and found a bass sound that I thought was dope. Same kind of thing I did last beat. I went in and made a key group. Took the sample. I was just like in a drum kit that I had somewhere. Yeah, just, you know, mapped it across the pads and started messing around with it. Yeah, I basically cut it down, as you can see. I cut it down to 1 note, and then I trimmed it and made a loop here. So once again, the key to making a bass sound into a extended bass sound is to start a loop and try to do it right at the beginning of a peak. So you see right here, boom, where it hits the black line. Started there, and I ended it in the same spot over here on the right. So usually you got to fix your end to kind of hit that spot. And then when you fix the loop point, you just got to make sure on your screen you turn off loop lock, because that, you know, that's usually on. So turn off your loop lock, and then you can change your loop point to not just be from the beginning, to be from the middle somewhere. So I'll pick this point right here, and boom, instant bass sound. So it was really subby. I like that. Had a little bit of top end, but for the most part, it was like a sub bass. I just kind of followed the groove of the sample and tried to come up with something that made sense. Bass pattern I came up with. So what I did here was I just kind of followed, you know, a one main note. As you can see, this kind of boom. And I made that kind of the staple of the bass line. I didn't really have to get that fancy with it. I just pretty much accentuated before those notes, before it hit 1, 2, 3, 4. And this one actually, I did a dip. As you can see, you know, I used the pitch bend to make it interesting. So it drops low and goes back to the normal note. Drops low, goes back to the normal note here. And this one goes high and back to the normal note. So I switched my pitch bend. Let me show you on the program screen. Once again, on the controller mod section, turn the pitch bend all the way up to 100. That's like one of my tricks. I like my pitch bends to be a full octave, and it sounds like this. Yeah, so just found a bass line that hit, that didn't take away too much, wasn't too busy. Just kind of hit those main notes. You just want that boo, that drop every time that main loop hits. Put that together, and I was just like, man, this joint is good. Like most people I know, most rappers will just get busy on it. But I like to come up with variations. I didn't do too much with this one. I kind of liked where it was at already. But what I did was I made a second sequence and I kind of flipped it. I took the chops and I played them a little differently like this. So I wanted to drop out on this other sequence. I wanted it to either be an intro to the beat or kind of like a between verses. That's kind of like just, you know, talking or just kind of building up. This seemed like a real lyricist type beat to me, you know, like just straight bars. So I wanted something that kind of drops out in between the, you know, the verses or whatever. So I took that loop to drop it out. I wanted to filter it. Best thing to do on this MPC 2.0 is make it into an audio track. I like it because you can manipulate the audio track. So I hit the pencil tool on track 5 and hit bounce to audio track. And that sent me to an audio track, muted that out, muted the MIDI track out for me, and basically left me with this audio track, which I then filtered. I took an EQ and I took the low pass filter and hit the right button up here, and this is global automation right. So you can take any parameter and make it right automation, which, you know, will record whatever movements you make on it. So what I did was I took this low pass filter, overdub, and play start, and then I just recorded myself dropping out the high end of the sample. So it sounded like this. So I like the way that sounded. And I also wanted to make it a little dirtier. So I put this decimator on there, decimated up to 11, turned the bit reducer down to 10 bits. And it just gave it kind of a dirtier sound, which I thought was really dope. Yeah, once I did that, I knew I had a basis for this pattern. And I really didn't want to have it compete with the drums and everything. I wanted that main pattern to just be hard and hit hard. And this one to kind of be like a little relaxed downtime. I won't say relaxed, but just, you know, drop back a little bit. Once I had that, I just wanted to put a bass line in, but not the bass line I had on the main one. I wanted to switch it up and give it a more kind of musical bass line. I went to another track and I opened the Loom VST, which, you know, again, comes with the MPC. It comes with MPC Software, I believe, 2.0. It might come with 2.0, but I know it definitely comes with the Touch and up. So if you have the Touch, the Live, or the MPC X, it definitely comes with that, but it might come with the 2.0. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, so I took the Loom, I went to the bass lines, and I found one called Death Bass. So I played some notes that would build up to the main sequence again, and this is what I came up with. sounds like the main sequence. Yeah, and that's it. That's pretty much what I got for it. With this part, I can see somebody scratching on it maybe, or you know, just some kind of distorted vocals in the background or something. Just kind of a build up to the verse coming back in. So that's it. That's the beat. Let me know if y'all digging it. I thought it was super hard. I know I'm not gonna have a problem selling that one. But yeah, man, I just wanted to make something that was real. You know, a lyricist could get on it. Somebody could just get busy. You know, somebody like a Pusha T or even like a Kendrick or a J. Cole, man. I could really hear them really just getting busy on that one. So that's my favorite type of beats to make, man. I do a little bit of everything, but this is where it's at, that kind of mixture. And with that second part sequence, it kind of had almost like a Kanye feel to it, where, you know, it builds up and drops out, you know, and just kind of has more of a musical bass line or musical section. So, you know, you can get as fancy as you want with these beats, but I just wanted something that really hit hard and kind of got that drum pattern out of my head. So if you like the beat, please like and subscribe once again. I appreciate all the love you guys are showing, man. All the new subscribers. I'm up over 300 now, which is just dope, man. It's been like over 100 subscribers over the last week or two. So, man, you guys are really showing a lot of love. Appreciate the comments. I try to answer everything. But let me know what you guys want to see. You know, if you want to hear, you know, more beats like this, and, you know, want me to put together more like this, just let me know. I'll try to answer as many questions as possible. All right? Peace.